Hello everyone, this is Roger. Welcome to the team. Um, this is some stuff that I usually intend to sit down, especially with the new people, and go over before the race, but I never have time because I have poor resource management skills. So I'm putting it up on YouTube. You can check it out at your leisure. So, winning. If you're here to compete and win, then yeah, you need to find another team. We're just not really good at that. We never really come close. Our chances are not good. It's best not to think about it. It really puts you in the wrong frame of mind. What we found is if we're trying to win the race, we do much worse. We're much more likely to be aggressive and to take chances and to get in trouble, and it's just all around not good. So, if you're really here to compete and to win, then yeah, we'll give you your money back. You probably need to find someone else to race with. All right, other drivers. Out on the track, some of the people have been in race cars at the track for many years. Some of them, this is their first time ever. They'll do stupid random things. Sometimes they'll drive well. Sometimes if you get too close to them, they'll just run into you for no apparent reason. They get nervous, they've got a lack of situational awareness, they have no idea what they're doing. So, the best thing is to treat all of them like they're trying to kill you. And most of them aren't. There's some really good drivers and some really good teams out there. But it'll save you when you get around the ones that are. So keep some distance. Make sure you've got some reaction time. Someone, their wheels are going to fall off. They're going to get sideways. Something stupid is going to happen. So keep some distance. Try not to go around turns, 2, 3, 4 wide, a few inches away from the car next to you. There's too many crappy cars. There's too many crappy drivers to be doing that. You can lift a little sometimes. Just let them go. Somebody really wants to get by you, yeah, you ought to let them go. Super aggressive drivers are a problem that takes care of itself. They can pass you a couple times on track, and you can pass them 10, 15, 20 times while they're in the penalty box doing something stupid. So, drive very defensively. Treat other drivers like they're trying to kill you. That's about it. Drive slow. We our first 2 or 3 races, we drove really fast, and we're time trialers, so every lap counts. What we saw was some of the slowest cars out there were in the top 20, doing much better than we were. And these are cars that were just abysmally slow. We don't have a super fast car, but we don't have a super slow car either. So we found out people who did have super slow cars, they were staying out of trouble, they were driving defensively, staying on track, and they were just killing us. We were spending all our time, off the track, fixing the car. I think we spent 4 hours in the penalty box one weekend. So the other thing we found is almost all of our black flags, almost all of our penalties are in the first 10 minutes in the car. The first 10 minutes, you're excited, you're not used to it, you haven't had a chance to check out the other drivers and how they drive. So what we found out is if we take a 10-minute just slow driving period, and when you drive at 50%, everyone will fly by you. You're like a rolling roadblock. You know what? You only lose maybe a lap or two, and it really pays off. You get a feel for the car, you get a feel for the other drivers. It's cut way down on our black flags. We haven't had a bad driving black flag in a long time. So it really pays off. And even after the first 10 minutes, we're not out there to go flat out. We can't win the race on the first day. All we can do is lose it. And I found this, if I back off just a little bit, drive a little bit slower than I know I can, it gives me some extra room. It gives me some extra time to react when something happens. And stuff is going to happen out there. There's a lot of crappy cars. There's a lot of crappy drivers. There are going to be a lot of incidents. There's going to be a lot of contact. There's going to be a lot of people driving off the track. All kinds of stuff happening. And what I found out is if I'm driving at my limit, I don't really have any room for error when someone gets sideways, a few inches in front of me. If I'm backing off a little bit, keeping some distance, don't have the car at its limit, something happens, I got a little wiggle room. I can do some maneuvering. I can brake a little. I can turn a little. It saves me. Going a little slower, you lose a couple laps here and there, but you'll gain dozens of laps from not getting in trouble. And it's about turning laps. The car with the most laps wins, or the crappiest car wins, but our car just isn't crappy enough to go for that, so we got to turn laps. Preserve the car. As we've seen before, we've blown up the car. I don't even know how many times anymore. I don't even know how many junk engines I've got out in my shed, and transmissions, and who knows what. And I think Danny's still got some more in his garage. This is not a great platform for this kind of race. The reason we picked this kind of car is because I had 2 or 3 of them and I'm real familiar with them, so that's what we run. It's not that great of a build. It's not cheaty. If you push the car really hard, you'll break it. You'll chuck a rod, drop a valve, who knows. Plus we found it's much harder on the tires and brakes. That little, if you drive it that little extra 10%, all of a sudden you get 50, 60 extra percent wear on your tires and your brakes. So back off a little bit. Save your tires and brakes, save the car, and you keep turning laps. Watch the gauges. If the oil temp starts getting a little high, if it's getting up above, say, 230, back off a little bit. Take a few easy laps. Let the oil temp cool off a little bit. If the oil pressure drops or the water temp goes up at all, the coolant temp should go up to right around the middle of the gauge and sit there. If you see it going up, or if you see the oil pressure dropping, get it off the track. That means we have a significant problem. It's a single cam Civic. They like to blow head gaskets. If you overheat it a little bit, we can lose a head gasket. That said, the car runs really well. It hasn't been heating up, so shouldn't have a problem with it. But if you do see that kind of problem, pit immediately. And try not to run into anything. Running into anything is bad. We know because we've done it over and over and over again. And what this goes back to is the last slide. Driving slower, back off a little bit. Give yourself some room because stuff's going to happen. And you should be able to avoid the obstacles out on the track. And I'll give you one tip that we've learned over the years is to follow someone. So if you're out on the track and you see someone else who's driving relatively clean and fast, and you can comfortably follow them, there'll be some people that you can comfortably follow, and there'll be some people that you can't. Sometimes there's people in big cars with powerful engines who their driving is quite a bit different than us in a powerless little momentum car. It's tough to follow them, but sometimes you'll see someone out there in a car that's moving well and driving clean, and what we found is it makes life real easy if you can follow someone else who's driving fast and clean around the track. It's much less stress on you. It's much less stress on the car. It's much easier to follow someone around the track than it is to try and pass everyone. So in that way, and you kind of have to watch who you follow. Just because you followed one car in one session doesn't mean that you can follow that same car in the next session. That may be a different driver. You may not want to follow them. But keep your eyes open. If you see someone who's driving fast and clean, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're you're working really hard to try and follow them. But if you see someone who's running fast and clean and you can comfortably follow them, that's a tactic that we've done before. Follow someone around the track, turn laps. You know what? Let them clear the way and and do the work. You can sit back there, take it easy, and turn laps. Um, there's some things that really gets the officials riled up. These things are easy to avoid. Going too fast in the paddock, less so in the hot pit, and more so in the paddock. But both of those are easy things. If I'm in the paddock, I idle along in first gear. I want to be the slowest car out there in the paddock. Yeah, I may lose a few seconds getting to the track, but everyone looks really closely at your speed in the paddock. It's a hot button for all the people there. It'll get you in trouble really fast. You don't even have to be going especially fast, and they can bust you for it. So when I'm driving in the paddock, I want to be going. I want to be notable for how slow I'm driving through the paddock. I'm idling in first gear, and if anyone notices anything about the way I drive through the paddock, it's that I go super slow in the paddock. And the thing is that you get excited. Let's say you have to pit, we have to check something, change a tire, whatever. You're pumped, you're racing, you want to get back on the track, and you can lose track of that. You go turn through the paddock without even thinking about it. So just be thinking about that when you're driving in the paddock. People are looking at you. The event organizers, the event officials, they're all looking at you in the paddock. The other teams are looking at you. If you go tearing through the paddock, you're going to get busted for it. The other thing is fueling. It's a real hot button with the event officials and with the track officials. Always be very vigilant about fueling. Have someone with a fire extinguisher. Be in full gear with your visor down. Don't rush fueling. If it takes a few extra seconds to make sure you got all your gear and you're ready with the extinguisher, take a few extra seconds. It's not that big a deal. Everybody's watching you when you're fueling. It's a real hot button. And of course, don't do anything stupid like fueling the paddock or whatever. You'll get reported. You'll get busted. If a event or a track official comes to talk to you about something, don't argue with them, even if they're wrong. And sometimes they are wrong. And frankly, I've had some of them be really obnoxious about it. You know what? Don't argue with them. Just say, okay, agree with them, and take in what they said and move on. Now, that's doubly true if you get black flagged. Pretty much everyone who gets black flagged, the first thing out of their mouth is, it wasn't my fault. Idiot in front of me got sideways and I couldn't avoid him, so I had to drive off the track. It wasn't my fault. They've heard this thousands of times at this point. And the thing is, they don't really have any way of knowing if it really was your fault, if you're a good driver, if you're a bad driver, none of this stuff. And it doesn't matter if it was your fault or if it wasn't your fault. What we found that the best option is to go ahead and own up to it. And honestly, if someone gets sideways in front of you and you couldn't avoid them, you were probably too close. Goes back to the drive slow slide. Back off a little bit, and when someone gets sideways in front of you, you got some room. So, yeah, maybe you were just driving along and someone did something stupid right in front of you. You couldn't avoid them. Realistically, it was your fault. So, fess up when you go in there. Yeah, and I'll just tell them, look, I lost it there. I understand. I need to calm down a little bit, pay better attention to what I'm doing, and slow down. And I understand that. And if they see that you acknowledge that you need to clean up your act, you're cognizant of that, and you're willing to work on that, they're much more likely to give you a stop and go. Say, hey, okay, he understands he screwed up. He understands he needs to calm down a little bit and pay attention to what he's doing. Boom, let him go. If you get in there and, I didn't do it, or it was that other guy's fault, or it was the wrong car, or I couldn't, help it if somebody else blah, 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 then you're going to be doing all kinds of things, putting puzzles together, putting engine blocks together, dancing. It's hard to say. If you want to stay on track and turn laps, fess up. Acknowledge that you need to calm down and pay attention to what you're doing and get back out there. Arguing or providing excuses, even if you don't think you're providing an excuse. Anything other than something along the lines of, I screwed up, I need to calm down and pay attention to what I'm doing. Anything other than that is going to be seen as arguing or giving an excuse. It'll make it worse, much worse. The judges and Jay, they have fun with people who like to argue and give excuses, and they give them creative penalties. If you want to be that person, then yeah, tear it up. If you want to get back on track and turn some laps, then don't argue. Um, Here's the other thing. At some point, you may be required to, disco dance while wearing a beaver costume, or as we've done, dressed up as the village people, or do some kind of parade thing, or I don't even know what. There's so many of them. If you got to do that, have fun with it. If you do it with a crappy attitude, you don't get any points. I think at one point we must have been black flagged 8 times. They'd cut our wristbands off, and then they realized that we one of the black flags was mechanical, so they let us get our wristbands on, and we actually got Judge's Choice Trophy that race, because at that point we got it. We said, hey, you know what? These black flags and these penalties are for our own good, and they're trying to tell us something, and we need to listen to it. And it really fixed our attitude. So whatever the consequences are in the penalty box, just do it, man. Do it. Have some fun with it. If we'll all be disco dancing in beaver costumes together, so kick ass at it. Have some fun with it. It's all about having fun and seeing the show. Be a part of the show if it's your turn to be a part of the show, and do it right. All right, and that leads into to have fun with this thing. I know Robert and I have done some other more serious forms of racing, and we've done this, and I won't get into better or worse, but I'll say that this is much more fun. Get out there, tear around in the car, enjoy the show. One thing about our car, we're not the fastest out there, we're not the slowest out there, so to the extent that this is about racing, you'll find some good races out there and some good people to run with, and you'll have a good time, and you'll have some good stories. And and you'll see it. It's there's a surprising amount of good competition and driving out there for what it is. So go out there, have some fun, stay smooth, drive clean, rack up some laps. This we've been in the top 10. We've been in the top 5 before the car blew up. So we're not we're not super slow or uncompetitive, but it's not really about being super fast or super competitive anyway. What we got is a good car, a good bunch of people, and a good race to run. So get out there, enjoy it, preserve the car, have a ball, come back, do it next time. I'll see y'all at the track.